should you buy Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024? Because I know many of you people have waited to hear my thoughts and impressions on it, and so far I've said since the release of this sim not to buy it yet because it's not ready. So has things changed? Well, in this video I'm going to give you my updated thoughts and impressions of this sim. So stay tuned after a quick word from our sponsor. This video is proudly sponsored by FS Academy, and they've got a new range of mission packs for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 called Interceptor. This all new 30 mission training pack is designed to put your IFR skills to the test and includes a wide range of essential topics such as holding patterns, ILS, VOR and NDB approaches, VOR and NDB navigation, and these techniques you will learn will feel really rewarding and will stay with you forever. Take the first step towards IFR today and embark upon an unforgettable and rewarding journey. Please check out FS Academy Interceptor in the notes below. When I tried the beta and then when it was officially released, I said back in the day that this sim was not ready, and that was pretty obvious, you know, and I actually did say also that I think it'll probably be the summer of 2025 before this sim is actually ready for prime time. And it looks like I'm going to be, in this case, because I'm not always right, but in this case I was right. Now, the advent of Sim Update 2 has been a big deal for VR. Now we have the toolbar. Look, it works. Every time I press it, it works and it's there and everything. And also, probably a bigger deal is we've now got foveated rendering. That is fixed foveated rendering for headsets that don't have eye tracking, but also DFR, that is eye tracking with foveated rendering using quad views for headsets such as the Crystal Super, which I'm wearing today. So that's basically, there's going to be a box that follows me around and showcases the best possible visuals, and outside of that area is going to be a lot lower quality. Now, the great thing and exciting thing is, hopefully, and this might already be a thing because I'm recording this video ahead of time, that Sim Update 3 is going to provide an option to be able to measure and change the focal area of the quad views, you know, the ring size that follows your eyes, so that you can get even better performance. That is a massive deal for VR, and something that I never thought we'd ever see really in MSFS, because Asobo, well, they was quite, you know, quiet on this subject, and I do think the collaboration between Asobo and Pimax has helped sort of push this forward. So with those two things alone, that's a big deal for VR. Couple that with the fact that with Sim Update 3 you can now download assets, whether they're airports, aircraft, even the sim updates, which helps, you know, alleviate some of the pressure on your precious internet connection. That's another massive deal for 2024. And I know what you're going to probably say, well, we've got that in 2020, I know, but you know, it's good that Asobo has realized that we still need this feature in MSFS 2024, and they've, you know, listened and they've admitted their mistake there and now given that option. So with those three things alone, it means the sim is performing better and is more stable. The thing is though, it's not perfect and there are some issues inherent with this sim alone. I'm still not a massive fan of the controlled binding setup, and some of the ways in which they've changed things and fixed things that wasn't broken is very infuriating. But when it's all said and done, when it comes to general aviation VR, this is without question the better sim now. It is better than 2020, because I know this sounds strange, but the detail of the ground in a flight sim is important when you're a general aviation flyer, a bush flyer, or a helicopter flyer, a rotor head, because when you're flying close to the ground, and there's just something about the way the trees look, the way the colours, the contrast, and the buildings, the grass, the, you know, rocks, the what's the word, the mapping of the ground. For example, if you fly into a dirt strip and you can see all of the dirt kick up against the aircraft, it's those little things that for me make the difference. And I'll be the first to admit, I really love avatar mode, because now when I land somewhere, I can visit that place. I can go into my little avatar mode and walk about that airfield, and it just feels more of a connected experience, you know? Another thing that is now available in MSFS 2024, and that is upscaling modes. Whether you use an AMD card or Nvidia card, you've now got FSR and DLSS 4 integrated within the sim. You don't need to mess around so much swapping files, messing around with config files. It's all there. So it's very much starting to be a modern flight sim platform. And with that all in mind, I think it's pretty obvious what I'm going to say. I think at this point, if you've been on the fence, I personally feel now is a good time to get into MSFS 2024. It's starting to be the sim it should have been on release. And in my opinion, it should not have been released until this summer of 2025. It should be released, say, in August of this year, you know? But thankfully, it is now starting to be the flight sim we all hoped it would be. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still far from perfect. And it's never going to be perfect. I think some people out there that are coming from MSFS 2020, they've come into this hobby from that point, they're going to be shocked with some of the issues and problems and complexities we're facing. But for those out there, like me, that have come from the early days of flight simming, you know, I used to fly with an Atari ST computer, and even, you know, I'm trying to think, the first Microsoft flight sim that I used was FS 5.1, I think. Show you my age now. Then it was at some point FS 95, then it was FS 98, which was a really good release actually in terms of performance. I think that was the first one that had a proper 3D accelerator card, unless it was FS 95, one of the two. Then it was FS 2000. That was a big departure. We had the Concorde, and in terms of performance, with my friend's Pentium 2 processor, I think we got 15 frames per second, and it was amazing. And then we had Autogen in FS 2002, which was a big step up. And then with the Century of Flight, we had dynamic weather, albeit it was very rudimentary. It wasn't that great, but it did the job pretty well. And then I think we had FSX, and in all these iterations, we had problems, and it was difficult, you know. And part of being a flight simmer is sort of working in harmony with technology, and sometimes working against technology and having to tear your hair out and get it working. But when it does work, and you've got this now as we're flying over the Humber in my beautiful Diamond aircraft in this incredible headset, when it all comes together, it is phenomenal. And I haven't used MSFS 2020 in a couple of months now, which is something I'm quite surprised about. I think the next thing I'd like to see moving forward is what DCS has done. The ability to use DLSS 4 but have a mask so that you can still use MSAA or TAA with the glass cockpit displays. And then we've got the best of both worlds, especially with favorited rendering support, DLSS 4s as I've just said, and everything else, you know, the ability to download your regions. It's starting to make sense to buy it now. So I'm going to tentatively say in this video that yes, at this point I do recommend MSFS 2024 for VR. I do, because it's running really well now, you know, and overall, especially for a GA flyer, it is quite an experience, because you have so much of the world to explore in a lot more higher detail as well. Now feel free to disagree in the comments, that's absolutely fine, but you know, I do fly in this sim quite a lot. I do follow what's going on in the sim, and as you know, You know, I have different VR headsets and everything, and while, you know, it's not perfect, I think it's at a point now where if you did invest in it, I think you would have a great time with this sim. Providing, of course, you do spend a bit of time to get it dialed in, you know, check out my latest VR settings, maybe use that as a baseline, look at other channels as well, because there's plenty of other great content out there. For instance, Tally Mouse, fantastic up and coming YouTuber. I'll have a link, if I remember, in the description below of his channel. You know, just go and check out people's content, get a nice baseline setting, go to London City, go to New York, do a worst case scenario, and if you can get 30 frames per second there, then you're good to go most places in the sim. And I think that will do for this little video today. Thank you for watching, please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care, and bye for now.